The award-winning HBO series The White Lotus and Ruben Östlund's 2022 Palme d'Or winner The Triangle of Sadness both have the theme in common of poking fun at the rich and overprivileged while they're on vacation. If you add some extreme violence to the mix, you get the film I'm going to talk about today in this video review, Infinity Pool. Now, before I go on, I want to say that whilst I won't be saying everything that happens in this film and what happens at the end and all that, I will be discussing this film and talking about the concept of this film, and I will say a lot about the story. So if you haven't watched this movie and you don't want to know anything about it, my advice to you would be to go away, watch the film, and then come back and watch this review afterwards. So, you have been warned. Now, one could easily make a film about rich tourists going to a poorer country, cause all sorts of trouble, and merely pay off corrupt authorities. However, if you have the mind of Brandon Cronenberg, son of David Cronenberg, and director of 2020's Possessor, then behind the wheel of this movie, then you know it won't be as straightforward as that, and there'll be some weirdness added. So Infinity Pool stars Alexander Skarsgard as struggling author James Foster, who goes on a holiday with his wife Em, played by Cleopatra Coleman, to a fictional resort island of Latulka. The tourist advice is to stick within the grounds of the resort, as there is a high crime rate and tourists get targeted. During their stay, James meets the mysterious Gabby, played by Mia Goth, who is on holiday with her partner Albin, and the two couples go for dinner, at which time Gabby and Albin even suggest to James and Em they go to a spot outside the grounds of the resort. The couples go to the spot, have a few drinks, have a party, and while driving back, James accidentally hits and kills one of the locals. It is a hit and run, as Gabby advises not to go to the police. However, once they get back to the hotel, the police arrest James, and this is where the weirdness really starts. Now, stay with me on this. The island of Latulka has a zero tolerance policy on crime, and all crime is punishable by death. However, for tourists, there is an international agreement in place with all major nations whereby for a significant sum, tourists can pay to have a body double built who will be executed on their behalf. A double also has the memories of the original person, and they do not know that they are a double. So then and another part of the agreement is that you have to be present at the execution. So in other words, you're watching yourself be executed or watching your double be executed. Now, normally for your average rich tourist, experience this would be pretty traumatic, and you would probably want to leave the country straight away. However, James then discovers an underground subculture of sadism and perversion in the form of the group led by Gabby, who regularly come to the resort island every year, commit various crimes, and pay to have body doubles killed, watching themselves executed without any care or feeling. They manipulate, bully, and break down James's character, who is quite a weak character that's dependent on other people, leans on Em a lot, and is easily led astray by the group. Now, I won't say any more on the story, but as you know, it's a pretty messed up concept, and that's what I like about the film. But before I talk about that, I want to talk about the cinematography. So Brandon Cronenberg uses a mixture of different styles in this film. The shots at the start of the resort, how clean it all looks, how nice it all looks, shows that it looks all nice or on a surface level. And there's a gradual upside down turning in one of the shots, which I thought was quite interesting. And having watched this film twice, I sort of interpret that as like the fact that there's a kind of undercurrent to this island, which isn't quite right, as we later discover. But I also like all the trippy sequences when James takes this drug that's unique to Latulka. These sequences have Brandon Cronenberg written all over them. He's got his prints all over them. If you watched his film Possessor from 2020, and then watch this film, you'd know what I'm talking about. the sequences, the trippy sequences, are very similar. When he's going through his process of getting a double built for him, and then when he takes this drug, there's these sequences, very visually, a kind of sensory overload almost, but I thought they were very good myself. And yeah, as I say, if you've seen Possessor, you'll know what I'm talking about. The performances from the two main leads, and from Cleopatra Coleman, were really good. Cleopatra Coleman plays James's wife, who is the level head of the group and sees the situation for how absolutely insane and perverted it all is, wants to leave the country straight away. However, James is a character that's, well, he's a failed author, he's looking for inspiration, and he finds it in the form of this group, but it's really difficult to have empathy for his character. There's a scene at the start of the film where M suggests they go for this to this Chinese place for dinner, and he completely dismisses it, quite rudely. But then when a couple of strangers propose to go into the same place, he's all for it. And when, this is kind of difficult to describe, he's a kind of weak character, a kind of dark character. He plays a really good performance. Alexander Skarsgard is a guy who sort of he leans on him, he lets the group easily lead him astray. It's the opposite of the character he plays as the vicious, vengeful Viking that we remember from last year's movie, The Northman. But this shows how brilliant and versatile an actor Alexander Skarsgard is. Mia Goth steals the show though. Rather like Pearl, she plays Gabby, who is mysterious. She's a temptress and a seductress, and underneath all that, a complete psychotic. The scene where she shouts, "Jamesy," I won't do the full impression. It's totally over the top. There'll be some memes going about social media with a still of her in that scene. And completely mad, completely over the top. Mia Goth just totally out there. She's one of the big names at the moment, also because of Pearl, which has been released in the UK. She's fantastic in that, and she's fantastic in this as well. She has complete control and manipulation over James, and the two of them strike up they have a kind of interesting chemistry between the two of them. But aside from that, it is the concept and the themes of this horror thriller that have won me over. It is a satire on the super rich and the idea of a playground from the rich, taken to extremes by the brilliant mind of Brandon Cronenberg. With so many franchise horrors that go about these days, movies like Scream, movies like the Conjuring franchise, all those horrors, all the sort of supernatural ghosty stuff. A film like this is what I'm, people with my taste are crying out for: something new, something original, something that doesn't necessarily fit a certain genre of horror, but it's a bit of sci-fi. There's a psychological elements to it, and it's conceptual. A film that I really liked. It's a film that stayed with me a few days after it. I've seen it twice now. I think it's very, very good. And when I look back on this year, on 2023, this will be one of the films that I'll remember the most. It's Infinity Pool, directed by Brandon Cronenberg. It stars Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgard, and I would go as far as to give this film an 8.5 out of 10. That's an 8.5 out of 10 for me for Infinity Pool. But if you've seen it, let me know what you think. Comment below. Let me know how you interpreted the film, what your take on it was. And I will be back on my next review. My name is Robert, and you are listening to Glasgow Movie Addict. Thanks for staying with me. See you in my next review. Bye-bye.